Okay, so good morning everyone. Today is going to be an exciting day because you will be setting up the actual website that you will be working on for the next 6 weeks. Okay, so we are going to discuss about e-commerce websites, how to set up a website, and its basic security. So I'm just going to go through some slides, but of course the best part would always be the hands-on. And I think I can suggest that we have a local server for everyone. So mag-install na lang ta so that makatry mo how to set up the WordPress locally. But for those who already have hosting and domain, I would also do a recording on how to install the WordPress on cPanel live. Okay? So how do you set up a website and its basic security? Now, the first question, whenever you do e-commerce, if you would remember, on our day zero, we were trying to encourage the MSMEs to invest in a website. And the reason for that is we need to do e-commerce. But the question now is that why do we need a website? You as a freelancer, them as business owners. Well, in marketing your service or building an MSME e-commerce site and running a digital marketing campaign, knowing who your focused target market is important. That's why we had the buyer persona nato. But whenever you look at the buyer persona, you would know that most of our potential customers or our potential audience are already online. And that's why you need a website. Because your website is like your digital footprint. It is like your business card online. And when people search for you, the first thing that they should see is actually your website. Would you trust a business or would you trust a freelancer that whenever you search for them, you don't see any footprint of them online? Would you trust them? Probably not, diba? So now, you need a website for that reason because people need to see you and you need to be represented online. So when building an e-commerce site, what do you need? You need a domain name, you need a web hosting, and you need an SSL. Now, these were just two before. You just need the hosting, and then domain name, and then you're done. But now, an SSL is added because just recently, Google announced that when you visit a website and they don't have a security certificate, it will show as not secure. Have you seen those websites where you see that there's a red on the lock? So it means it's not a secured website. Now, in order to secure that, you need to purchase a security certificate so that it will show up as secure. Okay? Now, how about the other two? A domain name is like your address. So the ones that you type when you search for a website or when you look for a website like facebook.com or instagram.com, that is your domain name. And domain names are very much crucial as part of your branding because it would represent your business online. It is the URL that you add on your Facebook page. It is the one that you add on your business card. So your domain name has to actually reflect what your business name or what your brand is all about. So some of the MSMEs who came yesterday, and then I consulted with them on what domain name to purchase because included in this is the .biz. But I consulted with them on which is the good domain name for them, and that's why we were discussing yesterday, if you remembered, no? So we have to choose the domain name that represents the content also of the website and what products or services you're actually offering. You don't go to a website that says catering services, but then when you open their site, they have like they're selling broomsticks or kaong. I mean, kaong would make sense in a catering because it's still food. But if they sell like motor parts also, when you visit their website, it doesn't make sense. So there has to be that component of branding and being findable online. People finding you because the purpose also of finding the right domain name is so that not just pointing to your website, but also ranking yourself online on Google. Diba? So your content has to align with what your domain name is and other optimizations that you're going to do later on the website. Now, what about web hosting? Well, a web host, whenever I try to explain this to clients, I compare it to like a USB drive, like a container, because it's the where your files live. You don't choose just a domain name, you don't choose just a hosting, they have to go together. You have to know where your files are located, and that's the web hosting, and you have to know what your actual domain name is. And then when you put them together, that's the platform where you build your website. Okay? Clear? Any questions so far? Good? Okay. So sample hosting providers. Where do you purchase hosting? So hosting, again, that's the container of the files of your website. So sample hosting providers, you have iPage, Bluehost, DreamHost, HostGator, Hostinger.ph, and a whole host of other websites. Hosting sites. For myself, I have a smallorange.com. I'm a reseller, and that's what I use for the clients or for the MSMEs. Okay, and there are other recommended hosting providers, but these are like the top. There's always Media Temple. There's a lot of hosts actually, but you have to choose the best hosting that has a good reputation, and then you know that they're actually offering good customer service for you. Okay, so I highlighted the top. It includes SiteGround, which is the other classes are using SiteGround because it's actually cheap, but we can offer a cheaper package. That's why I didn't mention that you can go to SiteGround. But if your client would prefer to buy their own, then you can recommend these hosting sites for them. Okay, so if they would say, oh, I don't want to purchase that, the 1 to 50, so I want to have my own host, then you can tell them, okay, it's fine. You can go to these sites and then you can purchase the hosting directly from them. So for example, SiteGround offers hosting plans, and these are usually the cost. You can see it here. $3.95 per month. When you convert that to PHP, how much? 4 times 50, around 200 plus. So that's per month multiplied by 12 months. How much? 4,000 plus. Yeah, 4,800. Tama ba? Okay. Okay. So around that price, di ba? That's just for your hosting. Wala pa yung bilang domain name. And for a small orange as a host, inani akong i-pay per month. So if you want to do your own hosting and then you want to offer this service to other clients, you have to get a reseller account. It's still shared hosting, meaning to say a lot of people are sharing the same server, but you're paying for a reseller so that you can brand it as your own hosting service. Okay, you can also do that if you want to sell website hosting and domain later. So now about hosting, domains. Where do you purchase your domain name? So sample domain name registers or providers. So like this is the DNS. Darani mo i-change yung DNS so that it points to your hosting. So you have domain.com, GoDaddy.com, Namecheap, Bluehost, HostGator, Name.com, 111register.com. So there's a lot, but the most famous ones are GoDaddy and Namecheap. Okay? So if you want to purchase your own, because for example, as a freelancer, you want to build your own website, you go to these sites so that you can purchase the name, okay, your custom domain name. So sample domain name rates, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm just putting it here as an example of how much it would cost if you buy a .biz versus a .com. This is for GoDaddy and this one is for Namecheap. Right, so that you can compare and contrast and that you'll be able to understand how much you would be investing if you want to buy your own domain name. Right, so this file will be shared later so that you can view because it's not quite clear right now. Alright, so optional is to buy both from us. As I mentioned, we are a reseller of a small orange. And I put together a cheaper, more affordable, training-friendly rate, which is $1,250. This is the one that we're offering to our MSMEs right now. Last year, when I was doing it for Bogo and Maasin, I charged them $2,500, but actually the hosting is a bigger package. But for this one, I realized that you can just do with around 500 MB of container for the file, kumbaga. So I realized now, okay, we can still lower the price, so we offered it for 1250, 1,250. And so the domain name is also included. It's .biz only. We're purchasing it from GoDaddy. So this is an example of how you put together an offer. No? So if you are a reseller from all those hosting providers that I mentioned, and then you want to say, okay, I want to offer hosting and domain name registration for my clients. And then after I register it for them, I will build the website. So if you want to package it, include it in your services, this is how you do it. So you become a reseller for hosting, and then you can purchase the domain name in behalf of them, and then you can add on your admin fee, your taxes, put it together, so package na siya. And then later on, you can offer another package, which is web development, right? So those who want to have this negosyo of offering web hosting and domain name registration, you can put it together like this. So we will see an example. All right, so where to purchase or get SSL. Now, as I mentioned, SSL is now a requirement for websites because of Google's recent policy. You can get an SSL for $6. For my website at 13.org, I purchased it for $120, and that's for 2 years. So $60 per year, that's actually pretty much expensive. But I got it from GoDaddy, and they're well known for really expensive products. So I realized that you can actually get SSL for just $6. So maybe I'll change my registrar later, my registrant, because it's cheaper. So this one is a deal from GoDaddy, 92% off. That's why it's quite cheap now. Or you can get it free from Let's Encrypt, because this is like an advocacy. They're like a non-profit. They're offering, when they heard that Google was requiring that every website should have an SSL or like a security certificate, they said, okay, let's band together, let's offer this free certificate for everyone. So they built a non-profit around it, and it's called Let's Encrypt. Now, depending on your host, they can offer the Let's Encrypt so that you can get the SSL for free, but it needs a technical setup on your end if they don't offer Let's Encrypt. So, for example, on SiteGround, that's one of the hosting providers that I mentioned, they offer Let's Encrypt as part of their package already. So you just click one button and then you have an SSL ready to go. But if your hosting does not cater to Let's Encrypt, then you have some technical setup that you need to do so that you can get free SSL. One thing that you will do later, because the SSL is a requirement, if you purchase the domain and hosting from us, there's no SSL yet, but you can get the free SSL from Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is actually an important plug-in or service that you can install in your website because it helps with security also. So when you install or when you set up Cloudflare, they also offer the SSL for free. So there's a bit of technical setup there. I made a video so that you can take a look and set it up for your clients, for your MSMEs later. All right. So WordPress is a really famous CMS. Do you know what the CMS means? Who wants to guess what the CMS means? I will not answer na kay he knows what CMS means. Diba, Ike? CMS is a content management system. Okay? So content management, meaning to say, it is a software that you will use to manage your content for a website. Now, why does this exist? The reason why CMS are famous right now in the internet, because before, when I was still a student, we did not have any CMS at all. Like, you have to build every single page of content manually, as in HTML/HTML, and then you build everything in the middle manually, mano-mano di siya tanan. But now, thankfully, thank God, there's a CMS because you don't have to code every single page. All you have to do is install the software. It's even famous for its 5-minute install. Click, 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 done. Kumanay mong WordPress. But of course, you're not done yet when setting up the website because you have the content, you have the plugins, and you have to set it all up to have a complete website. But the thing is, you have the CMS and it makes your life super easier. Later on, you're gonna see how easy it is by adding new post, new page, and whenever you type from there, more na siya Word document, you add in your content, edit it, save it, and then it shows up on your website. It's easy as that. Compared before, you have to code every single page. I mean, this saves a lot of time. So once you install it, this is the dashboard on WordPress that you're going to see, and you are going to be looking at this for a long time whenever you're setting up your website. So this is the screen that will be most familiar for you when working on our project right now. So this screen. This is the dashboard, but when you open the actual URL or the domain name, you're going to see your website. So this is where you set up everything, your pages, your plugins. So click, click, click. You're going to navigate through all these, set it up, make sure that the settings are correct for how you want the website to look. And then when you click the actual URL, ito yung itsura niya, the theme that you have or your actual website. That's what it looks like. But now you know that at the back end, this is what it looks like if it's in WordPress. So now, WordPress themes. What are WordPress themes? When you install WordPress, they give you a very basic theme. So it's not customized, there are no colors, but we all know that every business has their own identity. So they have their own logo, they have their own colors, and putting that together, you have a theme. On WordPress, they also have pre-made themes that are installed once you click on the 5-minute install for WordPress. They have a built-in theme, but of course you can purchase other themes from other providers or those that sell custom themes. Now you have to be careful when you download themes from the internet, because if you got it for free, most probably there's a virus on it or attached malicious code that will ruin your site later. So it's better if you get themes that you know that ano siya, secured yung theme, and it's probably more customized for you, or a provider is trusted, or just to be sure, just purchase a theme. That's what I always suggest to customers. So themes, yes, you can customize it later. If you purchase a customized theme, there are still options to change the colors, add the logo, and all that. Okay, so again, be careful when you download later free themes, because I know you want your website to look really good. Yes, ma'am. Yes, correct. Yeah, it's like Shopify. Yes, yes. Na siya free gihapon. So it's like this. So you can add new, and then you can search, I guess, for free nga themes. Na ano may free nga themes. I-customize na mo siya. Yeah, yeah. So just be careful kung mag-download ka gawas sa WordPress. Alright. Now next is any questions about WordPress itself and themes? Okay pa so far? Alright. So let's go to WooCommerce. Okay. Now, Ma'am already knows about Shopify. It's like a WordPress, but for a specific, it's a specific e-commerce site where dropshippers love to be in. They have themes similar to WordPress, but on WordPress, there is no existing e-commerce functionality. That's why you have to add a plugin. So that plugin enhances or boosts the basic WordPress setup and makes it e-commerce ready. So you install WooCommerce for that. Of course, there are several plugins, but this is the most famous one if you want to activate e-commerce for your WordPress. So WooCommerce is a popular plugin that adds that functionality, the shop functionality, which you need to add later. And it allows you to add products, add services, configure your payment options, configure the shipping, configure customer communication messages. So later on, when you install WooCommerce, you're going to see options for these. So on choosing plugins. So again, plugins, just like WooCommerce, they are installed on your basic WordPress to enhance or to improve the functionality of your site. Now, plugins, just like themes, you can use it for free. There are just free plugins on their marketplace, you know. So when you search for a plugin, it's just there. Just be careful again if you are installing a plugin from outside of WordPress, because there might be, again, viruses or malicious code. So some tips here: use tools that can be found or installed from inside WordPress. Don't upload themes or plugins found from external sites. Kung mag-browse mo plugin, choose wisely and check when it was last updated. Because when you choose a plugin, you're going to see there who the developer is and when was it last updated, and then how many installs for that plugin. Now, unsa may use, makita ka ng data, it's because you want to know if that plugin can be trusted when you add it to your website. So if it's not trusted, it's not updated recently, then most probably it's an abandoned code and there are already malicious, you know, virus sa kanang code. Be careful lang. Okay. All right, so that's about plugins. Questions? You will be required later to install another plugin that will continually monitor your website for malicious code. And there will be a continuous backup also of your website, which all of these are going to be installed later on your site. It will be a requirement for your WordPress. So just a quick story. I had a student from one of my training sites, and I was impressed by his work during class. And after his graduation, I actually hired him as one of the teammates in our team, 30 Media. So he was really good, but there was a time that just recently where I told him to install or revamp the site with a new theme. So he found a theme. He didn't inform me that it was not paid, or like, you're ready to pay this one, purchase it from here. Because if I knew that there was going to be a huge problem with the theme, I wouldn't have had him install it. So what happened was that he installed a theme. We didn't know that there was a virus in it, a malicious code, and it continued happening for almost a year. No, I didn't know that there was going to be spam on our hosting. So ang nahitabo ato is that naaday siya malicious code, ang theme na yung gi-download, ni-spread siya sa whole hosting. Na-affected ang uban nga sites, na-affected ang amoang website. Ang nahitabo, wala na yung nakita na mo online. So it means no more inquiries, no more leads, no more clients. So it was a huge problem for me trying to trace where the spam was, because it was always detected na there's a spam on your site. So whenever you send banggod your URL, like for example for Google to check or for Facebook to check, they're gonna see that there's malicious code. So if there's malicious code on your site, most probably your ad will not run. You're not gonna get approved in some sites. So it's a huge problem for you. So you have to make sure na follow the instructions here. Don't download plugins or themes that are outside WordPress or something that you have not paid at all, that you got it for free. Kasi what happened to me might happen to your clients or might happen to you later on when you install WordPress for yourself. So these are things that you have to watch out for, because we would say it here that don't do this, don't do that, but in reality there is a business case for it. There is a case study where it really affected business. Okay? So some example of plugins that you might be required to install. You have Yoast SEO. This is the plugin that you'll be working on and tweaking so much with your content, because of the 20 pages that you are required to make, it has to prove a green light. So the green light, we're going to show you later once we install the WordPress. The green light means that it passed the standards of Yoast, meaning to say you have a main keyword and then you're building content around that keyword. Once it's green, it means go. So your content is good to go. This is what you're going to make sure that you set up later. And then of course, WooCommerce. What is WooCommerce? I just mentioned it. What's WooCommerce? It's a plugin that activates e-commerce for WordPress. Okay, WordFence is a security plugin. WordPress all-in-one migration or backup. Just make sure that your site has backup, continuous backup. And then e-commerce analytics so that it connects with your Google Analytics. And then you have HubSpot, contact form, Facebook live chat. Some websites right now already have live chat, diba? And Messenger. And then, of course, social sharing so that your content can be spread throughout the internet. Okay, security settings. Like I said, security is quite important for WordPress because ing anak ka famous si WordPress. WordPress is so famous to the point that hackers create codes to affect websites that have security flaws. So in order to mitigate that, you have to make sure that the security of your WordPress site is good. Okay? So the way to do that is to enhance your security settings. So you have WordFence to do that. You install WordFence, and then you install backup. Like in case something happens to your site, it was overloaded with spam, and you can't revive it anymore. So what you need to do is you have no choice. You have to reinstall your whole site, no? And if you have a backup of all your content, well, better, so that you can just put it back without any problem. So you need a backup also. So security and then backup. And then you will be performing also weekly scan and backups throughout the class. This is part of your weekly report. Once your website is up, and then you send weekly reports to the client, remember, to your MSME, you need to do the weekly scan on the site and the backup also. So parang one click lang naman to on your plugin. But you have to report that, yes, I have done the backup, yes, I have scanned the site, no problem, no malicious code, etc. Alright, so maintenance tasks. Once you have your website up and ready with the content, with the products ready to go, you have to perform maintenance tasks. And some freelancers actually charge for maintenance tasks on WordPress sites. So when a client says, I need someone to maintain my website, so when he says maintain the website, these are probably the things that you would need to do in terms of managing a WordPress site. So maintenance task includes updating your WordPress version. When you install WordPress now from their site, you will get the latest version. But WordPress is a community project. It's a non-profit also. So they continually upload or update the code from their volunteer developers. So once they update the code, your site also has to be updated with the recent version of WordPress. So there's an automatic, of course, you can always automate this, make it automatic, but manually checking it to make sure na, okay, updated day akong WordPress, then good. Next is ensure your templates or themes are also compatible or updated. Some developers create themes that require constant updates also, similar to WordPress. And then you have to continually update the plugin. Similar to WordPress, this is like a whole community project. This is like always updating. It doesn't mean that once you create the WordPress site, okay na siya. No? You have to do maintenance tasks. And aside from the WordPress, the templates or theme, you have to also update your plugins. So see WooCommerce, for example, they might have updated a code or like lines of code. So you also need to click the button na update plugin and then it will update it. And then next, to back up the site, like I said, if there's malicious code, malware, viruses, at least you have a backup so that you can revert to the last version of the site, of your website, where it didn't have any problems yet. Diba? So for example, this is your version of the site na wala pa yung malware, and then nag-update ka, nakag-install na plugin or theme, and then nagka-problema na siya, so nag-virus, kaya nakuha na attack. So unsay buhaton ana? I-revert nimo sa katong backup nimo nga wala pa na installan. So of course, tanang work nga imong gibuhat dito, for example lang, nag-update kag product, nag-add kag mga content, wala na to siya. But if you continuously do backup, then you will have the most recent, at least dili na layo-layo imong i-update. For example, if you're gonna do weekly, tanan imong himo for the week, in case lang may problem, then you're going to revert to the latest week na naka-save ka or naka-backup ka. And then maintenance tasks also include scanning for malware or issues. on your site. So all of these, this is one service that you can actually offer to customers later on, WordPress maintenance. So now, if you're thinking of creating a site, the first thing that you actually have to do is to do site planning. You don't just install, create pages without any plan at all. Because once you do that, then what would happen to your site? It's going to end up like a mishmash of something, because you feel like writing this content, okay, I'll add this. So you have to do site planning. Before building a site, plan the information flow or the website structure. So a credible website, a website that can be found on Google search, has to have at least 40 pages. But for this requirement for class, we're just going to require 20 pages. 20 pages of green-lighted Yoast SEO content. Of course, the content here does not involve just katong about us, mission, vision, company profile, terms and condition, refund, privacy policy, so 6, and then your products. So product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so not to reach. So the rest, that's going to be through your blog posts. So mag-write the blogs later para makaabot ka sa 20 nga requirement. Okay? So now, that's why I said nga, if imong client is ka product, murag, daghan kag apason nga blog posts para makaabot ka sa 20 pages. So if imong client daghan og product, then most probably ang himuon na lang nga blog post like 5 ingana na lang. Alright. So site planning. I'm just showing here an example of the website because usually when you visit websites, it's usual that you have an about, you have a shop. This is an e-commerce site, no? So they're selling bracelets from musicians. And so nasa shop, they have clearance section, they have an about, a blog, the cart here so that you will know how many items you have in your cart, social media buttons, way to sign in. And then this is like your banner image. And then you have call to actions or buttons that will lead you to different portions of the site. I mean, you guys are all familiar with websites already, but I'm just telling you like the basic. Because you have a menu at the top, a menu. So this is where you navigate the site. Meron siyang mga links. That's what you use to navigate all around the site. If e-commerce siya, there's a shop. And then like I said, yung banner image niya, meron usually call to action or buttons to navigate to the store immediately. And then meron siyang mga banner for offers or promos or campaigns. So I'm showing an example here. This is part of your screenshot requirements for this task. A sitemap. So a sitemap looks like this. If you do it in a visual way, you start with your home page. That's the actual landing page. Like when you type facebook.com, the thing that you see there, that is your home page. So your home, you have menu at the top, and it usually contains the following, like about, and then products or services. Since we're e-commerce, we have a shop, and then your contact. And then under those, you have subcategories. Either you put your history, mission, vision, list down your services, list down your products, and all the other content. Of course, they didn't include here the blog, which can expand the number of pages that you can deliver for the training. So this is a sample sitemap that Miss Janet showed. So you have your home, you have your shop, several categories of the products, and then your product and under it. So think of the categories first before you add your products, because sometimes there might be several categories for the products of your client. So for example, let's say rice, cookies. So under rice products, and under that na siya cookies, na siya coffee, so that's a category. So under the cookies na siya no sugar, with sugar, so nga na siya. So you have to have categories and then the products under it. And then your about, you have your history, your media mention. So if they were published on newspapers or on social media, pwede siya i-screenshot and include it as media mention. If kung wala, okay ra wala. Then your blog, you have a category for your blog. It might be a product review, or it might be like an event summary, and then your blog post. And then you have your contact us, terms and condition, returns and refund policy, data privacy policy. Sometimes these are just, you can just auto-generate it from the internet. There are generators for this. So, dali ra ning apart, I guess, for you. Ang inyong kailangan i-put together isang shop, which has the category and the products. The about comes from your buyer persona and from your brand fascination na content. So, dali ninyo to siya i-add. And then your blog, later on, we're gonna talk about the buyer journey, and then we will create sample blog posts for this. So wireframing. Wireframing, these are tools that can be used to put together a visual of what the homepage might look like, or a certain page or your site, or putting together some graphic representation of what you want to present, which is the website structure. So you can search for Balsamic, you can search for mock-ups, Canva, or you can use just your PowerPoint to put this together. So wireframing tool, this is what you're going to use to put together the sitemap, because that's part of the screenshot, the slides deliverable for you. Alright, so that's about e-commerce. Any questions?